Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, it's the 57th anniversary of Star Trek today, and I want to talk about Star Trek specials because I was expecting to review a Star Trek special today because, Star Trek Day had a Star Trek special. And unfortunately, they spent so much time in that special trashing the original Star Trek that I didn't end up getting any time to talk about any of the other specials in the history of the specials which I want to talk about. So I thought I'd do a separate video for it. So now, when I was growing up, I saw these Star Trek specials, and I mean, of course, I just assumed they'd do a special on Star Trek. Why wouldn't they? Star Trek was so important, and it deserved to have, specials and documentaries and things like that. So of course it would. I didn't realize this is all PR. This is all paid for. It's marketing and advertising, and it was because they had a show to promote, a product to promote, not because it actually mattered or was important or people cared about it or wanted it. That's just how the business works. So because Star Trek 4 had done really well, and they were preparing to do Star Trek Next Generation, or thinking of something like that, Paramount did its first big Star Trek special, because before that it was just Star Trek fans celebrating the anniversaries each year. So for the 20th anniversary, they did a special. They interviewed the cast, they talked about Star Trek, and I never actually saw it on TV back in the day. I saw it on video years later. The first one I saw was the 25th anniversary of Star Trek, and that one had Patrick Stewart, because Next Generation was happening at that time, and they had the original cast, and it was designed as a wraparound for the Cage, because they had discovered the colour footage that was missing, and they put it back together and they wanted to air it, and they did it as like a 2-hour special where they had like a half-hour wraparound with Picard, Patrick Stewart talking about the original Star Trek, showing the Cage, and then talking about the Next Generation. And it was a big deal having a primetime Star Trek special on TV and sort of giving it that sort of respect. Then, of course, we had the 30th anniversary, where I think for the 30th anniversary they had a big, like, Oscar-style event where they had all the cast appear. They had presenters and hosts, and they gave out awards, and they showed clips, and they had musical performances and that. It was like the Star Trek Oscars, except that they didn't give out any awards. And again, I just thought, of course, Star Trek would have this sort of attention. But then as we approached the 35th anniversary, it got a bit quieter because Star Trek wasn't doing as well. And by the time they got to the 40th anniversary, which was the year after they had cancelled Enterprise because UPN was losing the rights to Star Trek because CBS and Paramount were splitting with the whole Viacom split and all that drama, we got nothing on the 40th anniversary. And I'm like, how can they not do a special to celebrate Star Trek? It's important, it matters. And I'm like, there's no marketing money because they've got nothing to promote right now. They've got no show on the air, they've got no movie in the cinemas, and a lot of things that fans built up, like magazines and websites and that the studios had started to fund because they benefit from it too, and they got a cut, and they were able to give the fans, the money they could actually do a quality production with some things. A lot of that stuff just got cancelled. They just was like, well, we have no more product to promote, this is not relevant, and they just moved on to the next thing. And Star Trek fans were just left out in the middle of nowhere. And sites like Trek Movie came about as they were approaching doing the new films, and that eventually became news and that. But fans sort of had to build Star Trek up again like they did in the 70s. They built it up, and then the studios sort of capitalised on it. And then once they got rid of it in 2025, they cut a lot of that off, and then fans built it up again. And then the new Star Trek came out, and eventually they created, Star Trek Day to sort of undermine the original Star Trek, which was getting more attention, particularly on the anniversary, than the new Star Trek shows. So to get people's attention focused on the new shows, which they make more money out of the licensing from than the originals, although they still make money from the original Star Trek, so why they don't just promote both, I don't know. Why they feel they have to put one down to elevate their other one. They started doing specials and live events and stuff like that, where they had panels, and last year they had like a big event where people would show up to a place and sort of all sit and watch people talk and performances and everything, and it felt sort of more like those good old days of Star Trek and their events. Someone obviously looked back into the archives and saw that's what they used to do for Star Trek. But this year, because of the writer's strike and everything, they just had one 22-minute special, and most of it was just promoting the very short treks, Discovery, And the 6 minutes they spent on the original Star Trek, they just spent trashing it and mocking it and showing bad scenes from bad episodes and just making fun of them. That's all they did to honour Star Trek. So it was very disappointing, but I still have my 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, 30th anniversary specials and a few other documentaries. I think are mostly fan-made around the 40th anniversary, and some other specials on Star Trek and documentaries and that. So there is a wealth of special features on the discs as well. So I'm going to go spend my Star Trek Day celebrating the anniversary of the original Star Trek with some quality documentaries and specials and interviews and special events, and try and forget about Star Trek Day. Okay, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.